What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking us out. This is the Sports Counterpoints podcast. It is May 24th, 2023. I'm GB. That's Brian. That is Coop. What's up with it, guys?
What's going on?
Man, we back to it. We chilling. So we're talking about the playoffs for the NBAs. It's in full swing. We'll talk about our team, the Lakers, and the broom that we received. Talk about LeBron's future, Carmelo's retirement, PGA Championship, of course, and we'll wrap it up. So starting with the playoffs, let's go Boston and Miami first. What y'all thinking about where this series is headed now that the Celtics have won a game?
I'll start this one. I think crazy. I mean, look, I had Boston win beating Miami and going to the finals. I did say, though, even though I kept picking them to win, I did say in the Atlanta series they didn't really look like a championship team. Something was off. And, they were giving up 130 points to Atlanta and just weren't really looking good for 4 quarters of a game. But then I kind of, after watching against Miami, I realized what I saw that was off. Number one, it seems like the toughness of the team is gone. It used to be the team could handle adversity like they did all last season with Udoka coaching, and with this guy, I'm not blaming all on the coach, but with this coach they have now, it's kind of like when they had Brad Stevens. It's like team really doesn't have any toughness. Once it gets down, it's pretty much over. Also, what I've noticed is I would say the lack of, I would guess not identity, but I guess decisiveness by players on the team on offense. It seems like sometimes you watch them play on offense, they're not really running an offense. They're just out there just playing basketball. There's no continuity, and I think that goes back to coaching as well to kind of get the guys together and on the same page. So I looked at the coach's face. I really didn't have an opinion on the coach until this playoff series, because I would look at his face and sometimes he would just look confused, like he didn't know what to do. So it's kind of like, and I've seen that look before. Mike Singletary had it with the 49ers, where you're kind of like in over your head and you're trying to do what you can, but it's not really working. And meanwhile, on the other side, Miami, which I still think Boston has better talent. I mean, Miami has 4 undrafted players like balling in this series. But they clearly have the better coach. They have an identity. They know what they're trying to do offensively and defensively, and they're executing that game plan. And Jimmy Butler, of course, is the best player on the series, but overall, I think Boston has better talent, but Miami's just playing better. And then the last point before I go, Brian, before I let you go, I just think that Miami, of course, I think they're going to win the series. I do think they're going to lose next game and then win game 6. But I think that Miami is an anomaly, meaning that they're an 8-seeded team about to go to the finals. Now, we've seen that happen before with the Knicks, but that was a different situation. But Miami was a really poor 3-point shooting team in the regular season. They were 27th, and now in the playoffs, they're first. That doesn't happen. Those swings don't really happen like that, and that's really helped them in this playoff, carry them in this playoffs. And so, hats off to Miami. They're doing their thing, but Boston, a talented team, is going to be some problems or a shakeup with that team if they when they lose this series. Brian, what you think about it so far?
Yeah, I think this series and the Lakers series kind of boil down to Occam's razor. And for those who don't know what that is, Occam's razor is the simplest answer is usually the right answer. And in this instance, I think the simplest answer is the Heat are outplaying Boston. I agree that Boston is probably a more talented team, but the Heat are just hungrier. They've got Jimmy, who is playing at another level, and Boston just doesn't know what to do with it because no one's experienced Jimmy like this. I mean, where he is literally powering the team. Now, other people are playing well, but it's Jimmy powering the ship. And sometimes you get to a point where you're seeing something for the first time, like somebody play out of their mind, and you don't know what to do with it. And I think that's kind of what Boston's kind of going through. I agree that when they lose the series, and I was with you, I thought Boston was going to win this series. But I also thought that no matter who won this series, they'll lose to whoever was going to win out of the Western Conference. And I still think that's the case. But we'll talk about that later. But I do think that when they lose, it's going to lead to a breakup. They hadn't even lost. They hadn't even played the last game. And there were already articles being written about how, Udoka's firing was the reason why now the team was having issues. Like, that's bull.
Yeah.
How all through the season, everyone was like, oh, Missoula is just as good as Udoka. And now when they're on the ropes, it's, well, the way the Celtics handled the firing Udoka has impacted the team's psyche. Like, come on. Again, Occam's razor. The simplest answer is probably that. They're not a good team as it fits together. Talented, lots of talent. But they're not put together in a way that works. And basketball is a team sport for a reason. You need to have elements of teammanships. I know there's sportsmanship and all that, but teammanship where the team just kind of gels. And Boston isn't gelling at a time where the Heat are basically molded from stone. So I actually see it a little bit differently than you. I think they're going to lose, but I actually thought in the last game, I was telling some Boston fans, I said, I think you guys are going to win this next game. And they did. And I said, I think you guys are going to get blown out when they go back to Miami. So I think this game is going to be over in 5. I said, look, this is that game where they're going to play with a lot of pride. They're going to do all of that. They're going to get there. They're going to be at home. They're going to figure out a way to win that game. And then Miami is going to do the exact same thing when they go to Miami and probably, shut the door on them.
Oh wait, Game 5 is in Miami.
Yeah.
I thought it was in Boston. Wait, hold on.
Boston's higher seed. Boston's higher
Yes,
seed.
in Boston. Yeah, because that's why I have Boston winning next game. Yeah, and I have Miami winning Game 6. Right. Okay.
Well, thank you for clarifying my own confusion. Then I do agree with you because I do think that Boston can find a way to win another game at home, but they're not going to find a way to win a game in Miami.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's going to be the right time to blow up that team because it's obvious, like Tatum and Smart and the other players, they don't fit well together. I think Tatum is the most talented team player in that.
They should trade him. That's the only. They're going to need pieces. Go ahead and trade him. Blow the team up.
Well, I'll tell you the reason they will not. Yeah, they will not trade Tatum because out of the players that they have, he's the one that you can market in Boston.
Yeah.
And who you can market in Boston is very different than what you can market. You definitely can't market Marcus Smart in Boston.
Oh hell, not with that green hair.
Yeah. You can market him nowhere really.
He
got to be who he is.
He can market him in Vegas.
You can market him in other cities that don't have the history that Boston has.
I'm with Brian on that. I don't think that Tatum fits the Boston culture because Boston has a culture of being smart on everybody and kind of arrogant. Tatum is nowhere near any of that. Yeah. He said the other day, about a week ago, he was one of the best players in the world in the game, and he didn't even sound confident when he said that. So it's like I don't know how he tried to get somebody else to believe it. But Brian, I'm with you. I think they're going to blow it up. But I also read that Tatum and Brown have played over 85 playoff games together. They still haven't got it done. It's about time to kind of blow that up after all the damn games they done played. So, and they never perfectly.
And they don't fit. They don't seem to even really like each other. Everybody on the Heat seems whether they're fooling us, everybody in that Heat seems to love each other. Like they're all
root for each other. Yeah.
They genuinely root for each other. And on the other side, when we're talking, Utah has that same thing where the players genuinely seem to like each other. Like everyone on the team, all the management, everybody in the stands, all were like, Murray's going to be great again. Right. And he's delivering. But anyways, when it comes back to the Heat, I think that's over. Sorry, I got the where they're playing confused. I don't think they're going to go into Miami and win any games.
Yeah.
And as a result, I think that any more games. I think as a result, then we're gonna see this series end.
Yeah, and my last point, I know people try to compare Jalen and Tatum, but also compare it to kind of like Kawhi and what's his name, Paul George, and it's like everybody wants to make that comparison to LeBron and D Wade, how they didn't fit together perfectly, and Jordan and Pippen, but it's like those are two of the greatest players ever, and they're also two of the greatest players ever, and these other guys aren't. So it's like they kind of make stuff work, you know what I mean? So you really can't compare Tatum and Brown to them, but. Yeah, that's all I got to say on it. But Glenn, any thoughts on the series? I'm sure you're happy Boston.
Hey, let's go Miami.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. MIA, baby. Trick Daddy and all them. I'm a thug. I can't wait, man. It's all the Miami homies. Now, Boston, they've been kind of all jokes aside on this for years. Honestly, they get close. Everybody has them as winning something, and they just can't figure it out. It hasn't mattered who the coach is. Hasn't mattered who the players are. They just can't figure it out. So as
the
a
two players
Laker
are
fan,
still
I'm not
there.
upset at all.
Yeah.
So especially after we got smoked, but yeah.
Their main issue to me is, I said last season when they lost to the Warriors, it was clear they need some type of point guard leader. They tried it with Kyrie, didn't work. They tried it with Malcolm Brogdon, it didn't work. So they need somebody in there to kind of
Kemba. They had Isaiah
lead.
Thomas. They
they
should
had a
have
lot
got
of
rid of
guys.
Isaiah Thomas, honestly, but yeah,
a lot of guys didn't work.
And
Let's hope Trae Young goes there, Brian, because then they guaranteed not to win nothing. So.
More importantly, if he goes there, he doesn't come here.
Oh, everybody in that too.
Crazy.
There you go.
Oh, crazy. All right. So speaking of coming here, man, Lakers, we up out of there. Get them rooms up.
I'm gonna let B go on this one first. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I want to hear your thoughts.
Look, once they got down 3-0, we all kind of know it's inevitable that, at least it feels inevitable because it's never been done before, that they were going to lose.
Still hasn't.
Everyone was like, oh, but you guys don't want to get swept. I do not care. It is inevitable that they're going to lose. You know, you either win a series, you lose a series. Nobody's going to remember next year whether or not it was 4-0 or 4-1. Yeah. The ultimate thing they're going to say is y'all lost.
Right.
And so, you know, I think a lot of people want to make a bigger deal about being swept. I do think it's a good statement for Denver to make. I think it's a great confidence builder for them going into the finals because they beat soundly a good team. But if I look at it from the Lakers side, you know, they had a 0.4% chance of making the playoffs after the first 10 games.
Right.
They were out of the playoff picture when they made all of these trades. And they were in the Western Conference Finals. Mm-hmm. That is a massive accomplishment. I think it shows a lot of talent. I think it shows that they are building in the right, we're building in the right direction. They might go do stupid stuff this offseason, but I think they did some really great things here.
And Darvin Ham had a good first year too.
Yeah.
In the second half.
I think, and people so quickly, like first series, Darvin Ham's a great coach. He's showing how great a coach he was. And the minute they lost, it was like, well, I think Darvin Ham might have been out of his league. No. Like, wait a minute. They could have come back and won game one, and it was pretty close, right? Mm-hmm. They should have won game two. They got beat up on game three, and then it came down to a last second shot, or no shot, as it turned out to be.
Great defense
in game four. Like, this was very, very close. And while it's going to be thought of as a sweep, and that's fair and everything else, the Lakers came very close against who the team I think will eventually win the championship.
Oh yeah, they should.
Mm-hmm. And they're not that far away. And I think we're going to talk about LeBron's future separately, so I won't get too into that yet. But I think, congratulations to the Lakers on outdoing themselves.
Oh my gosh.
Not that they need any congratulations and making me a believer for even a moment, but they did. Yeah. I went from the beginning of the season to genuinely not even really liking my own team, at least especially the players on it, to actively rooting for the team on there. And sure, D'Lo sucked in this series, and he was better in previous series.
Yeah.
And Vanderbilt couldn't hit the broadside of a barn from the corner, even though that's really what his job was there to do besides play defense. But those guys played well in spots. They showed growth. I think they're moving in the right direction. I really like Schroeder on this team because the defensive dog in him was super helpful, and I think that he was a good fit with how this team was being put together. I love what Rui and Reeves showed, and I think we're going to talk about it more separately or in a minute. And I really, really hope that LeBron, AD, Ham, the front office don't listen to the stupidity of most people who are talking and decide that they have to make these massive wholesale changes and bring in Kyrie or bring in Trae and move away from a strategy that did exceptionally well for a couple of months and just wasn't all the way there. Like, getting to the Western Conference Finals, 4 teams in a league could say that. And they're amongst those 4 teams, and they weren't that far off. And I truly believe, even after watching them get swept by Denver, that if they had played the Heat or Boston, they would have beat both of them. I think that they ran into the team that was a perfect matchup. I mean, Jokic played out of his damn mind, making shots that, like, I honestly believe you could have blindfolded him and put him in the corner and had him shoot threes, and he would have made them one-handed at certain points in that series. He was just that unconscious. Anyway, Jason, what were your thoughts?
Hey, real quick before you say that, Coop. Also, just to Brian's point, at no point, and I watched a lot of these games with y'all from game 0 to 82, did y'all ever think Western Conference Finals for this team?
No, I didn't. No.
Up until I think they played Orlando like second to last game, lost that game. We're like, oh yeah, this team is not it.
And remember we were at Brian Finals and they lost to Dallas?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure they were going to make it out of the play-ins.
Yeah, they were down 15 in the play-in game. So
but I became a believer once they got in the playoffs, and we said this at the very beginning of the playoffs. They got in the right part of the bracket, right? I thought they were going to mess it up and get in the wrong part of the bracket and play Denver sooner, in which case I thought they would have lost sooner. But I thought that they got on the right side of the bracket. I think that, they're better than Memphis, and they're better than the Warriors, and they beat those two teams. And then they ran into the team that we all kind of said, whether they run into them in the first round, the second round, the third round, didn't matter whether this was the team or they were going to be. And both of us picked, not necessarily 4, but both of us picked and understood that Denver was probably a bigger hurdle than
people forget it was a 1 versus 7. Go ahead, Coop.
Being that we're both Laker fans, we did both pick Denver to win this series. But I'm gonna start with the Denver side first. Denver I know Embiid won the MVP, but after seeing him kind of wilt in the end against Boston and seeing Jokic play this entire series, I'm just like, Jokic is a better player. I mean, this guy, he scores at the first, second, and third quarter, and then the fourth quarter, he's more of a facilitator and lets Jamal Murray do his thing, which that guy always liked Jamal Murray. That guy can play. He was really he was doing his thing this series. But Denver has two-way players, and I think that was the advantage. And they're also younger and more athletic than the Lakers, but they have two-way players. We have Vanderbilt who's more of a defensive player. We got Russell who's more of an offensive player. We got Reeves more of an offensive player. Denver has two-way players. Those guys can go both ways. They can go offense and defense. So even that last game when Lakers were up 73-58 in that first half, I knew that Denver was going to, I think I texted you guys. I said, Denver's not losing this game by double digits. They're going to come back. Now, they end up eventually winning the game. Didn't surprise me at all. But I gotta tip my hat to Denver. That is a really good team, and they're kind of Spurs-like to me. Jokic doesn't want endorsements like Tim Duncan. He just wants to win and play basketball. It seems like the team generally likes each other. You got a guy like Murray who was overlooked. You got a guy like Michael Porter finally coming to his own, kind of like how Manu Ginobili finally came into his own. Tony Parker didn't get a lot of respect. Murray didn't get respect. So it's kind of Spurs. Like they just go out there and just handle their business. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I don't think there's some type of one-hit wonder like maybe the Kings were that year or Lob City or something. I think Denver's going to be around for the next few years. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in, the Kings and Lob City. But, seriously, I mean, everybody thought the Kings going to title if they played the Lakers that year, and they kind of fell off a cliff. So, so I got to give credit to Denver, and I'm with you, Brian. I think they're going to win the NBA championship no matter who they play against. And I think they'll have an easier time against Miami than they would against Boston. But
matchups make fights, right?
Right.
And they are a tough matchup.
Right. And to your point, like we said in the beginning, Memphis for the Lakers side, Memphis didn't have any size. The Lakers should have won that, and Warriors didn't have any size either, and pretty much no bench. And so we had that series too. So this was the series that we were like, oh damn, here we go. And everybody was trying to pick the Lakers. I'm like, no, just because you don't like Denver and they're not aesthetically pleasing like San Antonio, that doesn't mean they're not a good team, and they are a good team. But I'm with you, man. These guys overachieved. I blame nothing on Darvin Ham. I don't even blame anything on LeBron. This guy's in his 20th season, tried to give everything he had in the first half, gave 31.
He put up 29, 31,
Yeah, and then the second half, he had no juice left. He was kind of hiding a little bit. He only had 9 points, and he had no lift on that last shot. I mean, none.
That brother was tired.
Why they ran a play for him, I didn't understand. I mean, I get that you give it to the GOAT, whatever people want to call him. You got, I understand why you do that, but I think you had to do that in a way that, I don't know. I just think I would have gone to AD, who can shoot the three, get inside, get a foul, draw something a little bit more specifically, and is better at clutch free throws if it got to that.
It seemed like AD was having the night off, but I get what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree.
He had a couple of them.
Neither of them played particularly well, but
if either one of them took that last shot.
Second half.
But LeBron, AD, they're going to come back next year. I know we'll talk about LeBron later. But
Yeah.
Reeves is a guy that I like. Now, defensively, he's a liability, but I like his aggressiveness and I like that he can shoot. He's going to cost a lot of damn money to keep. He's an undrafted player. He's going to cost a lot of money, but I would slightly overpay to keep Reeves on the team. I like Reeves. I would overpay. Now,
He was
D'Lo,
key, bro. In clutch
D'Lo,
moments.
a guy I've never liked. I mean, minus going into last game, he was minus 53 when he was on the court and plus 31 off the court. I mean, he just played terrible this series. You can't make that
Yeah.
kind of money and just not put up any numbers in any game in this series. I think he's going to be gone. I'm with Brian. I don't think the Lakers need a massive blow up, but we know the Lakers and we know Rob Pelinka. And if a massive blow up happens, I don't think either one of us would be surprised. And Kyrie was at the last game. Now, the
He was at
game
all
he
of
was
them.
at, yeah, the game he was at before, I remember D'Lo went off for 30. Now, this
Yeah.
game he was at, I think Kyrie was there for a reason. So if I had to put
He's
money,
been there for a reason the whole time.
Right.
and
He's
if I,
absolutely lobbied.
yeah, and if I have to bet money, I would bet. I would pay you guys $10 each if he's not a Laker next year. I'll pay you
Well,
guys $10. I think he's gonna be a Laker.
Here's the reason why I worry about that. It is mutually exclusive for us to be able to get Rui and Reeves back and get Kyrie. And not only would they have to get Rui and Reeves, they probably have to waive Vanderbilt. They probably, they're going to have to undo all the things that they put together to get that back, and then do the same thing that they were doing before, which is you have the superstars, and then you just sign a whole bunch of minimum guys.
Right.
It has not worked. We never got close with that strategy. We got very close with this strategy, which is keeping guys like Rui and Reeves, and getting another player. Like I actually think D'Lo can played well in the system. I think if they were to opt and get him at the right price and bring this team back and let them play for a full season, I think that they could possibly get over the hump. I think they would have the same fight against Denver. But we didn't have Mo Bamba until the fourth game.
That's right.
We didn't have a backup center. We had literally Rui was playing backup center at power forward and playing defense on Jokic. That is a factor. It's not the reason why they lost. But if you get a good backup center, Thomas Bryant would have been wonderful in this series. But if you get a good backup center and you get a point guard, whether that is D'Lo or someone else, but I think the minute you bring Kyrie here, you screw all of that up. And we go right back to the whole 3 superstars and a bunch of scrubs trying to do it, which we did. We tried with Russell Westbrook. We tried with others. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
I don't think these guys are young enough to do that either for
I disagree slightly. I don't necessarily have to bring in Kyrie, but LeBron is going to be another year older, and AD is going to be another year older. You need somebody that can give you 25 points a game or has the ability to do that. And D'Lo doesn't have that ability to do that, and I wouldn't trust him to do that. And I think Kyrie fits a few things. He fits shooting. He fits a person who can score points and a person who can kind of facilitate a little bit. And that's why I think he will be a Laker next year. And, with LeBron getting older, he's not going to get better. And with AD getting older, he's not going to get better. I think we need a high-level guy.
Yeah, they can't run 82.
Kyrie ain't a high-level guy.
Yeah,
yes, I agree that there's a high likelihood that he might end up here. And I think of all the things that people are in the scenarios that make sense. So I wouldn't make the bet with you because I'm worried it may happen. But if he comes here, we're not winning a damn thing.
Oh, he's not gonna be the reason.
We are not winning a damn thing. And
win this year.
The Lakers have proven that they cannot win doing the AD and LeBron thing for reasons that you mentioned. But when you have that third guy, unless he is truly great, which Kyrie is not,
right?
You're not going to get anybody to go in there. Unless you're going to get Tatum. Like, okay, sure, he could be the third guy and he could power him and do all that stuff. But it ain't Kyrie. It's definitely not Trey. There's nobody realistically available that comes in as that third guy and makes it happen. There just isn't. And that's, there's going to be a lot of movement. But I think that their best strategy to repeat success is to have a whole slew of guys. And we were talking about this before. I think the strategy that's worked for them is not knowing who the third guy is going to be in any night. It could be D'Lo, it could be Reeves, it could be Rui. I mean, Reeves was averaging 20-something points a game.
You want to run this same team back?
I think they'd be too old.
This team back with slight variations, not at the star power. They need a reliable backup center. Right? They got to have somebody to play defense on Jokic because AD didn't want to.
Yeah, and I can see AD getting hurt next year too. Go ahead, I'm with you.
And they need a more reliable scoring guard. which D'Lo was supposed to be and fell asleep at the switch. You're not
Poor guy.
But the cost of Kyrie costs us 5 of those other guys.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get rid of Rudy.
Which
You're
not
gonna have
worried.
to get rid of Reeves. You're gonna have to get rid of Vanderbilt. You're gonna have to get rid of D'Lo.
Yeah, and that's not worth it.
And to bring in, and he's not good enough to make up for all of it.
Right. That I agree with. Yeah. Hey, Glenn, I'm telling you, AD played a lot of games this year. Injuries bound to happen next season.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I think
Bound to
both of them guys are just
let it happen
aging.
early.
Both them guys are aging.
Right.
It's gonna be tough to get through 82. There was no
Not for
chance.
anybody to get through 82. Who plays 82 anymore?
No,
I would
definitely.
love if LeBron can just play 30 minutes. I guess we'll lead into this right now, but I would love for LeBron to be able to. I don't think he's going to retire. I'm gonna let Brian start on that first, but it'd be good if LeBron could just play 30 minutes in 60 games next year. That'll be perfect. That's what the Lakers need, because he was playing 40 minutes in plus minutes in the beginning of the season. And to Brian's point, we started out 2-10. So our playoffs started about a month before everybody else's playoffs started, because we had important games starting way before everybody else and kind of just ran out of juice, at the end. We can't start off 2-10 again like that. So, you can't.
I don't think you're going to be able to juice against Denver, man. Washington,
No,
bro,
but win
that
a game
team
at
is
least,
That team, man, they were so lights out. I mean,
Yeah.
every time they put a 3 up, I was surprised that they missed from everybody
Some of that-
shooting. I mean, Jokic plays amazing basketball. Like, I can't even say I'm a basketball fan anymore, because if you don't want to watch that team, like, you're just not into basketball, because them dudes was playing proper
Murray killed us.
basketball.
And Murray killed us.
Murray was
30.
unstoppable,
He's
bro.
unstoppable.
He couldn't.
Right.
He didn't miss. It was just crazy.
Look, that sometimes the story of the playoffs is a team, any playoffs, football, anything, is a team getting hot and staying hot at the right time. Denver definitely did that. But just as easily as they did get hot at the right time, they could be normal. And, Jamal Murray was playing out of his mind. Jokic was literally making one-handed throw shots from half court practically.
I mean, maybe that's them. They was number one and beat everybody.
Yeah, but the law of averages do not suggest they're going to be able to do that season after season after season. So they are beatable at some point in time, just not right now. Yeah, and I'm looking at games played for the top scorers this year. Nobody sniffed. Jason Tatum was the closest thing to sniffing real time at 74 games, but almost every other one of them is in the 50s or low 60s.
Oh wow, okay, that's crazy.
Nobody plays 82.
That's crazy. Oh yeah, 82.
There isn't a person with 80 games on the list, and I think high tide is 77, and that's somewhere in the 20s.
And that's crazy you say that, Brian, because they talk about how these players are, bigger, stronger, faster, more this, more that. I look at a guy like Gary Payton. If you look, there's 10 years you can look at his career. He played all 82 except one. He played 81. It's like he played like real defense and played every night. And he's nowhere near as big or strong as fast as these other guys. But these guys are supposed to be all this, all that, and they can't even play, 80 games in the season or 75, whatever. But that's kind of crazy that I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, Davis played 56. LeBron only played 55. Kevin Durant played 47. Steph Curry played 56.
Damn. I didn't know that.
Giannis played 63, so only a few games more. Shea played 68. Dame only played 58. Luka only played 66. Joel Embiid played 66. Man. Nobody's even close.
Not even 70.
When it comes to so. While our guys, while it feels to us Laker fans that AD and LeBron were perpetually hurt, not playing enough games, and so on and so forth. And they did play less than all of these guys.
Yeah, but they're right there.
The biggest problem is that they kept on getting hurt at different times, and so they were never playing together. It was like we were like, oh, AD's finally coming back, and then LeBron would take the game off, and AD comes back, and then it just felt like there was always one of them.
Yeah, don't worry. When Kyrie's there, you'll always have him. Brian doesn't want to talk about that.
Not to play. He's like, I'm going to go on vacation. Kyrie played 60. And people thought of him this year as being more engaged, and playing more often, and being the guy who was playing while Luka was hurt. Luka played 66. Kyrie only played 60.
Now, speaking of almost retirements, do you believe LeBron is going to retire?
No, I don't believe it for a moment. I think that that's what you say when you're an old guy who just lost a tough series in a heartbreaking manner. And you literally right after the game, someone asks you about your whole future. And you're still in your feelings, and you go, well, I just got to think about it, And they're like, well, I know you want to play with Bronny. You're gonna say, I don't know anymore. I got to think about. You just get reflective. right after a fight. Like, how many times do you watch a boxer who was supposed to win get knocked out, and they ask him, "Are you gonna come back?" And almost half the time, like, "I don't know, I got to think about my future and talk to my family and talk to their God and all these other things." I think that's exactly what we saw with LeBron and the whole world, because it's 3 news cycles when it's LeBron, decided to jump on it. And they're like, "Here are 5 trades that the Lakers could make to keep LeBron there." But keeping LeBron. Here, you're definitely going to have to get Kyrie to convince LeBron to stay, or blah blah. It's such lunacy based off of one interview 5 minutes after he just got his heart broken and losing in the Western Conference Final.
Yeah, funny thing I saw, they said he gonna take a year and play with Bronny at USC.
That's funny. I don't doubt LeBron's. Yeah, I don't doubt LeBron's sincerity, of what he said. I just don't think he's going to retire.
Because it's right after.
Yeah, it's right after the game. Yeah, you got Bronny at USC, so he could just stay in LA and watch Bronny play 15 to 20 games, and he's going to make his money. He has a lot of good businesses and stuff like that, and he uses the Lakers, to market stuff. So I mean, I do think, though, it's a ploy he's going to use as a ploy to try to get what he wants from the Lakers, though, to try to improve the team. But I definitely think he's going to come back. I think if you ask me a percentage, I'll say there's a 10% chance he retires. And he is getting foot surgery, supposedly have foot surgery. So I
take the under.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm expecting him to come back. I think it's a story, but a non-story, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, of course, people are going to clam on to, the greatest player of this generation, this current generation, talking about retirement. It didn't matter what he said or how he said it. But I agree with you for all the reasons that you mentioned. Bronny's going to be right here. It was not a coincidence that with Oregon and Ohio State and USC being the options, you went to USC, which is right there. That USC team is being built. They got the #1 player signed up. I mean, that USC team is going to be pretty darn good. It's been a long time since you could say that about a USC basketball team.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for him to want to stick around and see what happens next.
Yeah. GB, what you think?
I think y'all said it all, man. I don't know. I don't know. You might as well keep going. You only got to play 55 games. You know what I mean? If you guys can make it to the playoffs, you get another playoff run. And then one more season, you get to potentially play with your son in a limited veteran role and be on the road with your kid. Like, why wouldn't you? And get paid $500,000, almost $100 million to do it. So why not?
The thing that I am worried about is that you said it, Jason, is that he's going to use this to GM this team in this off summer, and he's a horrible freaking GM. Horrible. Just so damn bad. I mean,
well, it's win one though. I mean, he wins the championship.
He did win in
you ain't doing nothing else after that.
I think I know. He won the championship in Cleveland with players who were already there, Kyrie and so on and so forth. The minute he had the ability to GM the team, he fucked it up and then left.
Well, I think what Brian, I'm not speaking for you, Brian, but I think what Brian is also saying is that if I'm LeBron, I don't care about the Lakers 2, 3, 4 years from now. I don't care. And I think that's what Brian is saying. Like, we might be decent next season, but when the following season happens and he's gone or whatever, it's going to be all bad. So, I get that.
I don't think he's good at evaluating the fit of talent. I think he looks at the Kyrie and goes, Kyrie's a really great basketball player, and we won a championship before. So, of course, he can come here and we'll win a championship again because we've done it before. It won't happen, right? I think he's got people in his ear saying, hey, Trey's a clutch client. Why wouldn't we want to bring another clutch client to the Lakers with all the rest of the clutch clients who are on the Lakers? But it's not going to help win. He's just a bad GM. I don't think he orchestrated any of these trades. I think these trades were things that someone came to him and said, hey, this is what we can do. The rest of these things that you thought of, these big deals, are not available to us, but this kid Vanderbilt can be pretty good, and we're going to go get Rui, and they kind of put it together. I think my worry is that he'll use this opportunity to GM the team, and he's just not a good GM.
Speaking of definitely speaking of great players, future Carmelo Anthony is retired, man. Came in same draft as Bron, right?
Yeah,
couple pick after or 2 picks after.
Only person that didn't make the Hall of Fame in that class was Darko Milicic. You know what I'm saying? So but
Carmelo
yeah,
could have went to Detroit too. That'd have been crazy.
yeah.
I'm glad he didn't.
You know, look, I mean, I think I'm in the minority on this one. I remember when I first saw Carmelo Anthony in college, and I said, "Oh, he's a more athletic version of Glenn Robinson." That's exactly what I thought when I
Mm.
saw him. Glenn Robinson was not a bad player. I think Carmelo's
Yeah.
better than him, but
Yeah.
and a little more athletic. But I never, how can I say this? I never looked at Carmelo as a Hall of Famer. I just looked at him as a guy. If he gets hot, he can fill it up. He can give you some, 35, 40, maybe 45 point nights. But I've known a lot of guys, like I mentioned, a lot of guys in the NBA that had a lot of good nights and could put up, 30, 35, 40 points in a night, but I never really considered them a Hall of Fame player. Now I know that Carmelo's going to go to the Hall of Fame.
Basketball Hall of Fame, not
Yeah,
NBA.
no, well, basketball. No, I think it's the NBA Hall of Fame. It's called the Basketball Hall of Fame. You're right. It is
The
the Basketball Hall of
Naismith
Fame.
Basketball
That's
Hall
right.
of Fame.
It's
It's your
he is
whole
gonna,
basketball life.
yeah, he is going to go to the Basketball Hall of Fame.
As he should.
I mean, that's just the way it
He
is.
should.
But he scored a lot of points. Now that's what because I don't remember any playoff moments. I don't remember any clutch
Western
basket
Conference
game
Finals
winners.
against us, man.
Yeah, one
Melo was
season in
giving
Western
us the
Conference
business.
Finals.
They
Yeah, he
just
was
didn't- they
that
just
one
didn't,
season.
They just didn't win. But you
He-
came up against Kobe. Melo ball,
But
man. You got nothing bad
No,
to say.
no. I don't have nothing bad to say. I'm saying he was just a scorer, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of guys score a lot of buckets, and Carmelo got buckets. But if you want me
Always.
to mention playoff moments and clutch things and a defensive stop or something they did or some three he stopped over somebody in the playoffs to take a game, I can't think of anything. I just know he had a lot of good scoring nights, and he was a scorer, straight scorer.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
So
That's
I
all I
think-
needed.
I think the important part of it being the Naismith Hall of Fame, he will likely go down as the greatest international U.S. player. And what I mean by that is, with every Olympics, he was in the most of them, the more than anyone else, and he played really, really well in those Olympics.
Interesting.
And so,
I mean,
that
he
alone,
got like 3 gold medals, don't he?
He's
got
got
like
3
3 or 4
gold medals, but he was also a defensive stopper in like those. He actually played defense in the Olympics.
Yeah, he did.
Coach required it. But anyways, I actually have always liked Melo. I've always thought that he was a good player. I thought that, kind of how he handled his move to New York from Denver was a little weird. He had some other stuff going on, but there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to, one, go to the Hall of Fame, and 2, get his number retired with the team with Denver and all the other teams. And ultimately, I think that they're going to have to figure out a way to.
I was going to ask you because Jokic and him both were 15.
We're 15, and I think they're just do what it's happened before. It happened for Jimmy, where they say, you can play with 23. He says, no, don't do it. But I think he'll get his number retired in Denver, and they'll say, Jokic, you can continue to wear that number, and you'll probably have 2 15s in thereafter.
See, I don't think Denver's gonna retire his number.
I
think that he played with the Knicks more than many other franchises.
Yeah, but if you're Denver, you went to the Western Conference Finals.
He became great.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think one conference finals can get you your number retired. I think you have to do a little bit more.
You're not talking about the Lakers. You're not talking about 100 championships. You're talking about first trip ever to the finals. That could definitely get you.
Clippers have retired numbers now.
Oh, well, that's the Clippers. That's a different story. But the thing is,
Clippers, Denver,
with Jokic there, I think they're going to make a few more conference finals, and I don't think Carmelo's going to get his. And he might. I mean,
he was
fair.
I think if I had to rate it, I'd put a 20% chance.
You can't raise the standards based off of what might happen in the future. Right now, when you look at the players that have gone through Denver and the people who have had their number retired, Carmelo is just as good as that.
Okay, so the way he forced himself out of Denver,
sucks.
I don't think it matters.
You think that they're going to still retire his number the way he forced, because that was ugly. It was and he did it so bad he could have just waited till after the season. He could have had a bench in New York, but they trade the whole bench to Denver, and then he goes to New York and they didn't have any budgets. Like that was I don't think it's going to happen.
But the ugliness on that was because he screwed New York by going there when he did instead of waiting till the end of the year and having
exactly. Yeah.
New York got hosed. So Denver ultimately, look, he almost went back to Denver at one point in time towards the second half of his fourth quarter of his career. He almost went back there. So there's not that much bad blood. And the reality of it is Denver doesn't have enough great players to
they got Alex English, man. They got Alex English.
That was how old were we?
Alex English was balling. He was like Carmelo. Didn't win no titles, and he was balling.
How many years
ago?
ago?
Retired. Now who else you got on that list?
Probably Dan Issel is probably his number's probably retired.
Yeah, Carmelo is most definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, he's better than Dan
That's the
Issel.
point.
But I think Alex English was the leading scorer in the '80s. Alex English was a baller. He didn't get any
That's
respect,
fine.
but he
That
was a
doesn't-
baller.
that's
Carmelo
fine, but
wasn't
so
better
what?
than him.
That has
That's
nothing to
okay.
do with Melo.
Rafter. Alex
Okay.
English is alone up in there.
I will
Yeah.
eat a dirt sandwich I wouldn't eat a dirt sandwich literally. But if you guys are right, I'll give you props. I don't think Denver's retiring his jersey, but if you guys are right, I'll let you know. I'll give you props.
We'll know in a couple years.
Yeah.
What about I definitely think he should, man. Carmelo had a good career. It's fun
Okay,
watching
wait,
him.
GB. I'm
appreciative
sorry.
of it all.
I don't want to cut you off, but he was on. Allen Iverson was on that team too, and went to the West Conference. Did they retire his jersey too, Allen
No,
Iverson?
Iverson wasn't on that team. Iverson came later. J.R. Smith was on that team.
Yep.
And a reason
Really?
and boys. We played no
Oh,
reasons on our
word.
squad.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it was
All
before
right.
that.
All right.
AI came later.
I'm done. Okay.
AI has his jersey retired in the team that he was at before he left for 3 other teams. So yeah, Carmelo should have his jersey retired at
Who was he
least one of them
drafted by?
stops. Who, Melo?
Yeah.
Nuggets.
Oh, New York didn't draft him?
No.
Oh, Nuggets. Oh,
Nuggets.
okay. That kind of might rule in your favor then. Okay.
Bro, I'm telling you. Like, yeah,
Okay.
he
All
definitely
right.
should. 100% he should have his
Okay,
jersey
so them
retired.
has now swung. Okay.
I
All
did
right.
Get him.
All right.
All right. So outside of that, shout out to Melo. Great career, man. Much respect. PGA Championship. I don't know if you watched any of it, Coop.
I didn't.
Played out in Oak Hill. Super tough course. When you're talking about, golfers being plus 10 and plus 15s, it was crazy. Brooks Koepka though gets his
won.
his win. Yeah,
Okay.
he held off. I thought he was going to implode again. And he held off and won it.
Okay.
Heck of a tournament at the end. What you think, B? Because I know you're the golfer out here.
Yeah, look, so we start with just how hard the course was. So Joel Damon's caddy, the day after the tournament, got to play the course. He's a scratch golfer and something is equally as good as Joel Damon, who plays on the tour. He was 15 over. He put his card. It was just bogey after bogey after bogey, right? He showed his card. He's like, this course was super hard. But now going on to talking about the round itself. Brooks Koepka has played so well in these last 2 majors, and the storyline on him prior to his mental meltdown and then leaving to live was that he just won majors. That's what he did. He even said, he says, I don't worry about all the rest of the tournaments, but when I go into play majors, I'm going in to win. And he's done that again. He's kind of gotten back on track. Health is in the right place, and his mentality is okay. We'll talk in a moment about what likely is some substance issues he might have, but when it comes to playing the game of golf, a healthy, focused Brooks Koepka is really, really hard to beat. He's just that good, and this was a perfect example of why people thought that he could be, among the better golfers in the PGA Tour on a week in, week out basis. That course ate John Rahm alive. He barely got to the weekend and it ate him alive. He's arguably the best golfer right now. Rory got beat up a little bit, but was able to compete. So congratulations to Brooks Koepka in what was a very, very impressive showing. Do you want me to talk about the live of it all?
Oh man, come on.
So there was a moment I was watching the final round and you could see that when Schauffele made the double, I think on like 15 or 16, Brooks knew he had it won. All he had to do was kind of go through the rest of these holes, and it was done. Like when he made the double, the real competition was over. It was just a matter of time. And you saw him looking around, and the crowds are going crazy at every hole. And he goes in, the crowd's going crazy there, and he was emotional. And I could see it in his eyes. He was like, this is different. And, playing on the PGA Tour and playing in front of these crowds in these moments is something that you could tell he was missing. And, Liv will never be able to recreate that. But it was one of those moments where I think I'm not going to try to speak for the man, but I think at that moment he was like, man, maybe I shouldn't have. Now he's got tons and tons of money, but those moments you cannot recreate with shotgun starts and 3 rounds of golf with music blaring and crowds being basically a bunch of folks who are super wealthy just watching with their girlfriends.
Yeah, less people than a San Jose State football game. Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. The other thing, Michael Block, man, crazy
What a
dude's a
story.
PGA
And
Tour professional. So there's like 26,000 of these guys across the country, and these men and women who basically teach the game, promote the game. They're not PGA Tour players like your Rorys and your Victor Hovlands and these guys. He gets his invite. He comes out there and has the round of his life. I mean, hole in one. I mean, just playing.
playing with his idol, Rory.
Yeah, just played crazy, man. What a story to see. So that's look up the story if you don't know about it. But that was probably obviously everybody's, that was the second most interesting story for sure. If you're not, obviously Bricks winning it, but I think that was like my favorite thing for sure. Just seeing his
And,
raw emotion and just excitement to be there and then to actually get on that stage and play well.
and he got called almost immediately after his round by this week's tournament and asked to fill in as an exemption player with his boss behind him. It was, look it up. It's worth kind of following and seeing it. By the way, someone was telling me that Full Swing we're following him around the tour,
Nice.
so that there's likely to be a Full Swing about him on the next one. If that will be must-see TV if it comes out.
Yeah, dude, and he's in Southern Cal too.
Yeah.
His course is out there, so it was cool. It was a good tournament. If you're a golf fan, especially, I mean, it's one of those things where these guys are so good that to see them struggle like that, it just brings the average golfer. You're kind of like, damn, all right, they're like us. You know what I mean? So they're not, but it was cool to see. So that was that, man. Great tournament there. Shout out to PG on that. This is our last couple segments, guys. First of all, tell me what's a bunch of hogwash, man. What's hella hogwash? I actually got one today too.
I don't have one. Y'all can go first.
I'm gonna sound like a hater, but B, you want to go ahead?
Sure. What I would say is just the media's huge overreaction to LeBron's couple of thoughtful comments in the moment, right? Like now we've got to go through, and we already talked about and speculated, but everyone's just like, how are the Lakers going to keep LeBron? There's been 15 articles that pop up from Bleacher Report and The Athletic and ESPN and this alert and that alert. And, hey, Kyrie Irving farted at the Los Angeles airport. It must mean he's coming. Like everything has been overanalyzed. It's a bunch of hogwash. Ignore it. The season, the off season and what's going to happen next hasn't even begun to be talked about yet in real terms.
Yep, and that happens for so many players do this. Mine, go ahead, Coop.
No, you go first.
Mine, I would sound like a hater, man, because it's about the Chiefs. I know. Patty Mahomes is catching this one, bro. I saw an article today, him talking about, it's not about the money to me. I just want to win rings. Fam, you can't get $450 million to talk about it's not about the bread, and you're going to start taking team-friendly deals. Stop it. Don't do that. Just play the game and be quiet, man. My money can't even see yours. I get it. I'm not saying I'm out the way. I'm just saying it's hella hogwash, bro. I'm gonna be out here like, hey, I'm just out here working because I like the people. Man, I need them checks. Stop it.
Yeah, real talk. Yeah. My hogwash definitely is gonna be about the Lakers, about people blaming Darvin Ham for losing this series. Look, Denver is the better team with better players. I don't give a damn if Phil Jackson was coaching this team. Okay, we would have lost this series. Maybe right, exactly. Maybe we would have won a game, but we still would have lost. It wouldn't. I mean, Denver's clearly better than the Lakers. Please start talking about adjustments and things Darvin Ham could have did. Our best player's been in the league 20 damn years, and we have another player, our other best player, who acts like he's been in the league 20 years and hasn't. So I mean, I don't want to hear Darvin Ham's name being thrown around. He did an excellent job to me, just getting this team to battle back. And, more props to him. A successful first season. So please, that's hogwash. People blaming Darvin Ham and adjustments. Please.
Couldn't blame him unless he got out there and played. Stop it.
Right.
There's nothing else that man could do. Last segment, minute to win it. My man, shout out to Eastside Golf. Got my first little stuff in the mail. So I just want to shout out to them. Golf brand started by a couple of brothers who went to Morehouse. Just something about golf being inclusive for all of us. So shout out to Eastside Golf, and thank you all for listening.
This is the segment, everybody, that Brian closes. So I am going to go next. This segment, I'm going to talk about Devontae Adams. He did an interview with The Ringer where he was pretty much sounded to me as if he was defending his move going to the Raiders, saying things like he wanted to prove that, he was a good wide receiver without Aaron Rodgers. I don't know anybody that thought he was a bad wide receiver. He would have been a bad wide receiver, or Aaron Rodgers made him or whatever. I think it's more a give and take. He kind of made Aaron a little bit. Aaron made him a little bit. I don't know. Nobody thinks Devontae Adams is a middle of the road or a bad or a mediocre wide receiver. That guy is very, very talented and very good. But I also think that he's upset that Derek can. Now he did call out Derek Carr for not letting it rip, throwing the ball downfield more to him, because Devontae Adams is a playmaker. And I think Devontae Adams realizes the quarterback he has now is not a playmaker. He's not going to get them. He's not the only way he's going to make big plays, and big plays in the NFL is considered 20 yards or more, is if he takes a screen pass or a 3-yard slant for 20 yards. That's the only way he's going to make a big play with the quarterback he has now. And I think he knows his numbers are going to go down. A lot of times people always say, hey, how come they don't try to get this wide receiver or this team try to get this wide receiver to help the quarterback out? Because they don't want to play with that damn quarterback, because they kill their numbers. Devontae wants another contract, and to get another big money contract, he needs numbers, because that's what their agent shows, numbers. And he knows he's not going to get those big play numbers, and probably not as good as numbers he had with Derek Carr with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think he knows that, and he's kind of frustrated right now. So Glenn, if you guys start out 1-5, you might want to look out. This guy might want to get traded. So we have to see. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying.
Bro, have you seen my life? What you think that upsets me? Hey, we don't celebrate what might be. We celebrate what we have, bro.
I got you. But I just found that article, him doing that article. At first, I thought it was unnecessary because he didn't have to defend himself for going to the Raiders. I mean, you want to make a move, you make a move. But at the same time, you can't cry pity because you chose to leave Green Bay to go to the Raiders. So, but either way, Devontae's a great player. So I just found that article kind of interesting and wanted to bring
see
it
me
up.
in Madden if you want to see what he could do with Jimmy Garoppolo. Go ahead, B.
So a couple things real quick. Rest in peace to Tina Turner, who passed away
Definitely.
today. Twitter and DeSantis' announcement. I couldn't love the fact that they had a tech fiasco and a glitch and had to mess up his whole announcement. So he announced to become president, or he's going to run for president. That's disgusting. But anyways, the thing that I actually want to talk about, which is going to be a little bit weird, is if you saw in the news today, the police did a welfare check on John Morant because of some more IG posts. And I am not a John Morant fan. I think anyone who's hung out with us for even a slight moment knows that. But at the same time, the mental health of these professional athletes, it's a real concern and a real problem. And while I do believe that John Morant should be suspended either indefinitely or for a full season, I also want to make sure, or I also hope that he is able to kind of get himself back on track, look at the people that he's hanging out with, and if they empower him to do the great things that he can do as a basketball player versus, do the stupid stuff that's going to ruin his life and his career. My thoughts go out to him. I hope that it all works out. It's clear that he's in a bad place. And I really honestly hope that it all works out for him. I saw that news today and like I said, I have strong opinions on what he should be able to do and not do, and whether or not he's any good for a team. But you never want to see any professional athlete succumb to the mental health issues that it seems like he's now struggling with as a result of what has happened.
And to piggyback on what you said, Brian, I think it also has to do with the people he's hanging with. I read something about a week ago that said that it was an altercation happened during a Pacers game. I don't know if you guys heard about it a couple months ago. And while they were leaving, one of the people in Morant's crew red dotted one of the other guy, and they told Adam Silver about it. And of course, he's a weak commissioner. He got kicked out. No,
he was banned from games. No, the guy was banned from games after that.
Oh no, the guy was banned, but he didn't. But it was part of Morant's crew. He did absolutely nothing to Morant. He did nothing. And then this happens again, and it's like I don't know what's going to happen with Morant.
He was the one filming, by the way.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm with you on Morant, man. He needs to get it together, and I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. We appreciate y'all for listening to the Sports Counterpoints podcast. It's May the 24th, 2023. Happy birthday, Lil. We'll check y'all later. Peace.